Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello friends, I am here once again to discuss interpersonal skills, and today the topic is self-motivation. Self-motivation is very important whenever we talk of interpersonal skills, communication, soft skill, or excelling in professional life. So it is very essential to know what is self-motivation and how to motivate yourself while completing a very important task. And also, what are the factors responsible for self-motivation? So, there are so many things, and we shall discuss under this caption. So, I would like to begin with that: are you motivated to achieve what you really want in life? And how hard do you push yourself to get things done? Well, think on this. Wanting to do something and motivating yourself to actually do it are two different things. So, what is the difference between those who never reach their goals year after year and those who achieve one goal after another? Often it is their self-motivation. This is the answer. Self-motivation is the force that keeps pushing us to go on. That is self-motivation. It is our internal drive to achieve, produce, develop, and keep moving forward. When you think you are ready to quit something, or you just don't know how to start, your self-motivation is what pushes you to go on. With self-motivation, you will learn and grow regardless of the specific situation. That's why it is such a fundamental tool for reaching your goals, achieving your dreams, and succeeding in this journey we call life. So, you have to manage life with the very moment or passion or attitude for self-motivation. Self-motivation is in its simplest form the force that drives you to do something. That is self-motivation. For that you feel yourself to move ahead. Self-motivation is a key life skill and something that everybody interested in personal development should think carefully about. It is also a key part of emotional intelligence, one of the three areas of personal skills that are integral to the concept. What is motivation? Motivation is what pushes us to achieve our goals, feel more fulfilled, and improve overall quality of life. Daniel Goleman, the author of several seminal books on emotional intelligence, identified 4 elements that make up motivation: personal drive to achieve, the desire to improve or to meet certain standards, commitment to personal or organizational goals, initiative, which he defines as readiness to act on opportunities, and optimism, the ability to keep going and pursue goals in the face of setbacks. There are many advantages to self-motivation because this is the key to success. So, many advantages. People who are self-motivated, for example, tend to be more organized, have good time management skills, and more self-esteem and confidence. Understanding and developing your self-motivation can help you to take control of many other aspects of your life. So, we should think of again and again what is motive. Fundamental to self-motivation is understanding what motivates you to do things. This may sound straightforward, but sometimes your motivation is hidden from your consciousness, your own personal hidden agenda. Your motivation may well change from hour to hour, day to day, and through life. As this happens, your needs, wants, and goals change and evolve with passage of time. There are two main types of motivation if we talk of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. In their simplest form, you can think about these two types of motivation as intrinsic. What is intrinsic? Love, because we want to. Extrinsic, money, because we have to. A more detailed definition is intrinsic, to perform an action or task based on the expected or perceived satisfaction or performing the action or task. Intrinsic motivators include having fun, being interested, and personal challenge. Extrinsic, to perform an action or task in order to attain some sort of reward, including money, power, and good marks or grades. Different people are motivated by different things and at different times in their lives. The same task may have more intrinsic motivators at certain times and more extrinsic motivators at others. Most tasks have a combination of the two types of motivation. Well, we all have a tendency to work better when we love what we are doing. We can categorize it as first. It's easier to get out of bed in the morning. We are happier in our work and happier in general. Research shows that this is particularly important when we are under stress. It is much easier to cope with a stress and long hours if we generally enjoy the work. When thinking about what motivates you to perform a certain task, think about both intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. You really think that what are these dimensions when we talk of self-motivation. If you have trouble getting motivated to perform a specific task, it may be useful to write them down and list the motivators for each. The importance of obligation. What about if a task has neither intrinsic nor extrinsic motivators? The obvious conclusion is that we are unlikely to do it because it will be pointless. We all know it doesn't always work like that. There is a further issue, feelings of obligation. Obligation motivators are not necessarily strictly intrinsic or extrinsic, but can still be very powerful. Obligation comes from our personal ethics and sense of duty, what is right and what is wrong. That is obligation. You may feel obliged to go to a party because you were invited by somebody you know. There will be no obvious extrinsic or intrinsic benefit to you attending, but you may worry if you don't go. You are more likely to enjoy the party you feel obliged to attend if you go with a positive and open attitude. This way, you have also added an intrinsic motivator, fun and enjoyment. Well, there are a number of skills involved in self-motivation. And what are these? setting high but realistic goals. Very important aspect of self-motivation. There is a strong correlation between self-motivation, personal goals and achievement. In order to get properly motivated and indeed to achieve, it helps to spend some time thinking about your personal goals and what you want to achieve in your life. We all have an inbuilt desire to achieve, and this should be inner quality of your desire. What we want to achieve, however, is personal to us and may change through life. At a school, for example, you may want to achieve good grades, then later you may want to pass your driving test or get a job. It is important to set yourself clear goals if you wish to achieve your ambitions. Next, maybe the tricks for self-motivation, the relationship between motivation, goals and achievement. People want to know that they have achieved or have the ability to achieve something of value, meaning or importance. Understanding the relationship between self-motivation, personal goal setting and achievement will help you to set realistic personal goals, which in turn will allow you to achieve more in the longer term. Personal goals can provide long-term direction and short-term motivation. Goals help us to focus on what we want to be or whether we want to go with our lives. They can be a way of utilizing knowledge and managing time and resources so that you can focus on making the most of your life potential. By setting clearly defined personal goals, you can measure your achievements and keep sight of your progress. If you fail to achieve at one step, you can reassess your situation and try new approaches. Keeping your life goals clearly defined and updated as your circumstances change and evolve is one of the most powerful ways to keep yourself motivated throughout life. Understanding the relationship between self-motivation, personal goal setting and achievement will help you to set realistic personal goals, which in turn will allow you to achieve more in the longer term. Personal goals can provide long-term direction and short-term motivation. Goals help us to focus on what we want to be or where we want to go with our lives. They can be a way of utilizing knowledge and managing time and resource so that one can focus on making the most of your life potential. By setting clearly defined personal goals, you can measure your achievements and keep sight of your progress. If you fail to achieve at one step, you can reassess your situation and try new approaches. Keeping your life goals clearly defined and updated as your circumstances change and evolve is one of the most powerful ways to keep yourself motivated throughout your life. Now, life goal is very important, setting the goals. It is important to remember when thinking about what you would like to achieve in your life, that change is inevitable. Many books have been written about such things, but then you have to decide. And when we are talking of goals, deciding the goal, suppose you want to pass into the examination, how to set the goal? Subject-wise priority. And you want to get good grade, naturally you have to work very hard. While setting goal, you need to fix up certain condition, and one of the conditions is that taking the right level of risk. What kind of risk you are taking? Sometimes changing the goal. As I said, that change is inevitable. So a number of books have been written about risk management, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, of consultants offering to help you to manage the risk for your project or business or goals or profession. But is risk management really that complicated? That is my question, and you should also think. In its simplest term, risk management is thinking about what could possibly go wrong, deciding how likely and or catastrophic that would be, and taking action to avoid either the problem or its consequences. Now, steps for a successful risk management strategy, because to counter the risk you have to make certain strategy. What could possibly go wrong? That should be there in your mind. Write down everything that could possibly go wrong, whether it is big or small. By writing, it may happen that it will be there noted into your mind. Include every last little thing that you can think of is relevant. Brainstorming is ideal here, as it is likely to get all the ideas out. Then you might want to group the ideas into themes. Although this is not absolutely essential, it can be helpful where you have identified a lot of risk, as you can then produce a summary risk register with one overarching risk for each theme. You can also see where your risks overlap and ensure that each one is genuinely different. And it is easier to think about who might take responsibility for each. Assign a date by which the risk will have occurred. Every risk needs a date by which it will either have happened or no longer be at risk of happening. Agree this date and enter it in your risk register. It is not good practice to put ongoing under this column, so do try to quantify it if you possibly can. Quantify your risk. Now, on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is high, decide how likely each risk is to happen. Then decide again on a scale of 1 to 5 how much of an impact it would have on the project if it happened. Again, discussion is very helpful. Agree first what each value means, where, for example, on impact 5 means that the project could not continue, 4 means that it would have a significant effect on the bottom line, and so on. As you get further down the list of risk, you might want to revisit those you did earlier to make sure your analysis is consistent. Now multiply likelihood by impact to give you an overall rating for each risk from 0 to 25. This will show you where to concentrate your effort. You can use a traffic light system for this, where red is anything over about 18, amber is 10 to 18, and green is anything under 10. And if you feel that any of them don't come high enough up, then revisit your analysis. You have to be comfortable with this. Any risk which rates red or amber should be mitigated in some way. Now, how to decide on mitigation? There are 4 main types of mitigation action or strategy: acceptance, avoidance, limitation, and transfer. Acceptance means accepting the risk and taking no action to mitigate it. It is a reasonable strategy for a risk that will only have a small impact or is unlikely to happen, and where taking any action to mitigate it could be disproportionately expensive. But it is not going to work for every risk on your list. Avoidance means making every effort to avoid the risk. This strategy is normally very expensive and only worthwhile for really catastrophic risks that are almost certain to happen. Limitation is the most usual mitigation strategy, which aims to limit either the likelihood or the impact of the risk and therefore reduce the effect that it will have on the business or project. It is a bit like a hybrid acceptance / avoidance strategy. Transference is the transfer of risk to someone else who is prepared to accept it. This is a strategy used by a lot of companies to avoid having to undertake activities and which are not part of their core competences, but would be a problem if they went wrong. It includes, for example, outsourcing or payroll management. Alongside the risk register, you also need to maintain an active issues list, which includes all those risks which have already happened and therefore become issues, and how you are managing them. This may be the same as the original mitigation, or it may require different action now the event has definitely happened. Take ownership of risk management. One final point, and one to ignore at your peril. It is no good having the best risk analysis in the world if nobody has read it and nobody takes action as a result. We had already discussed regarding the risk management, but risk management is important so that to complete the task or to cope with the situation. So, risk management and crucially the thinking about what could possibly go wrong and what should we do to prevent it should be a key part of your strategy development. It needs to be integral to your organization at all levels. Now, seeking constant feedback to work out how to improve. This is also one of the important aspects. In life as much as in work, it is important to know how to provide feedback to others effectively and constructively without causing offense. There are many opportunities in life for providing others with feedback, from commenting on the way that your colleague has carried out a task to discussing your children's behavior with them. Being committed to personal or organizational goals and going the extra mile to achieve them. Actively seeking out opportunity and seizing them when they occur. That is to say that you have to need to point out that when and where you have to take the appropriate action. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courageous people do feel fear, but they are able to manage and overcome their fear so that it does not stop them taking action. They often use the fear to ensure that they are not overly confident and that they take the appropriate actions. Courage is a highly prized virtue, and many famous and respected people have spoken or written about it over the years. We probably all have an idea of what we mean by courage or bravery, as it is sometimes known. So, being able to deal with setbacks and continue to pursue goal despite obstacles. We should have this courage. Resilience is the rubber ball factor, the ability to bounce back in the event of adversity. Put simply, Resilience is the ability to cope with and rise to the inevitable challenges, problems, and setbacks you meet in the course of your life and come back stronger from them. Well, I'm unsure, sometimes it happens, I'm unsure of my ability to achieve the goals I set for myself. And such kind of quiz you need to go for. When working on my goals, I put in maximum effort and work even harder if I have suffered a setback. I regularly set goals and objectives to achieve my vision for my life. I think positively about setting goals and making sure my needs are met. I use rewards and consequences to keep myself focused. For example, if I finish my report on time, I allow myself to take a coffee break. I believe that if I work hard and apply my abilities and talents, I will be successful. That kind of faith I have. I worry about deadliness and getting things done, which causes stress and anxiety. When an unexpected event threatens or jeopardizes my goal, I tend to walk away, set a different goal, and move in a new direction. When I come up with a really good idea, I am surprised by my creativity. I figure it is my lucky day and caution myself not to get used to the feeling. I tend to do the minimum amount of work necessary to keep my boss, senior, and my team satisfied. I tend to worry about why I won't reach my goals, and I often focus on why something probably won't work. I create a vivid and powerful vision of my future success before embarking on a new goal. Well, these are the important points of self-motivation, and I have shared with you my own ideas, my own experience to get the thing done. I have seen personally that several times you get confused, baffled, what to do, not to do, and why to do. That is also a very important question. And this is the time when you need to look into yourself. What are the priorities? Why you want to get the thing done? And you have to set the question list one by one. You think over and then you decide. That is why risk management factor, because whenever you do anything, suppose you are preparing for competition examination. And in my opinion, competitive exam is just hit and miss, hit and miss. If you are lucky, you can get through, and not, I won't say unlucky, but if you fail, it doesn't mean that you are worthless. And here, what is required, that you have to develop the inner strength. I also discussed resilience. You need to look into that what else is required. And with a firm determination, you need to move ahead forward. Well, I have been working for a considerable years. I am ambitious, no doubt. But yes, of course, I am not over ambitious. But ambition with a design, with a strategy is going to help you. Ambition is a good thing, but how to get that you have to decide. And for that, you have to make a very successful strategy. That is why I said that wanted to do something and motivated yourself to actually do it are two different things. Introspection is also very important before doing anything. Look into yourself, try to find out that are you capable to do this, or you can complete this within the set frame of time and not, then what kind of a strategy should be evolved? And here comes your determination, your faith, your intellect and brainstorming. If you keep on thinking for your work, for your task and supposed to achieve task, I am sure that you could be able to get the desired kind of result. Very important thing I want to tell you, that never get discouraged, disappointed, disheartened in your life. It happens. It happens with me also. Several times, suppose I am applying for some fellowship, sending my paper to a very high quality refereed journal, but if I get the reply in negation, for a moment I find myself bewildered, shattered, disheartened. But within a minute I regain my strength, thinking something else, that okay, I'll do it again and I will get it. If not this, some other thing. Well, if you have faith in yourself, you can do it, because your mind is your real being. With these words, I want to conclude. Till then, thank you very much. Develop faith in yourself. Bye.